What's up, everybody? Hoang Zero here, and today I have for you a very in-demand deck profile, the Diaboromon deck profile. And joining me today is a player that has previously been on this channel for his Ultimate Cup Gallantmon deck profile. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, Hoang. Hello, everyone. I'm Diaboromon Ace, an Italian player. I won an European Ultimate Cup online and 3 Italian turn nationals and topped several European and Italian events. And in the BT17 format, I've been having success with Diaboromon. I think the deck is very strong. It's a good meta call, counters some of the best decks in the format, and it will be even better in the BT17.5 format after the ban list.
Yeah, and so a lot of people are excited for Diaboromon, right? This is a huge fan favorite deck, stemming back all the way from the original movie. But I know this is a deck that did not see success in the Japanese Asia format, right? And even to this point, it hasn't seen much success in English. But you're saying that it actually is overperforming, right? In both the pre and post ban list. So let me ask you, why Diaboromon? What makes this deck so good?
Well, I think that this deck is pretty good in itself, but it's like 10 times better in tournaments, where your opponent doesn't really know what you do, because it's a really trap-like deck. You can set up so many traps. You have a lot of interaction in the opponent's turn, and so like the problem is, I think everyone is playing this deck wrong because they just climb into the EX6 Diaboromon and try to spam tokens, but that doesn't really work. You do that once you have established the board. The main play of this deck is to set up an Infermon, and I call it Aker Caramon. I don't know if it's BT17, like the red one.
Oh yeah, that's BT17.
Yeah, that guy. This guy is so strong because when your opponent plays or digivolves into level 5 or higher, he instantly warps into an Infermon for free. So not only you climb for 0 memory, but you can also interact with either the digivolve or eating a token to instantly warp into Diaboromon. So then you digivolve either way, and you can destroy a 7 cost or lower, because Diaboromon Ace destroys cost 3 plus 2 for each Diaboromon you have on board. So generally, I just want to set up like an Infermon, which threatens Diaboromon Ace, and a BT17 Caramon. Like, that's the standard play in most matchups. And if the opponent has a level 5 that can't out the Caramon, the matchup is like a bye. Like, for example, Imperialdramon, which in my opinion, I don't know if you agree, was the best deck even before the ban list. Because like the big three were Imperialdramon and Numemon and Blue Hybrid. In my personal opinion, Imperialdramon plays well against the other two most of the times, and does very well into other two decks that I considered very strong, which were like Diaboromon and Torrent Kabuterimon. Very under the radar, but they both play well into Blue Hybrid and Numemon, and they are even easier than the other two for Imperialdramon, so that was, in my opinion, the best deck. And if they go into Imperialdramon, BT17 Caramon just destroys them, because Imperialdramon doesn't out the rookies immediately, he needs to beat them first. But Caramon warps into either Infermon, honestly, and you get instant advantage. You can digivolve the Imperialdramon on the spot, and when the dual Tamer plays a rookie in the beginning of the turn, both Diaboromons can interact. The EX6 Diaboromon, can play a token when they special summon, basically, and then you digivolve, because both Infermons are all turns, or the Diaboromon Ace can instantly destroy the rookie that they play. You also have good tools against Numemon. The Digivolve is strong, Blocker is strong, and they can't really use Atemon on the Diaboromon Ace, because when attacking you instantly destroy it. The harder matchup is Blue Hybrid, which got nerfed into the ground with the ban list. But I used to play for Blue Hybrid 2 Quartzmon, which is like my answer to hybrid decks. It really destroys them. They need to play the yellow option to, what's the name? Heavens something.
Yellow option.
The 7 cost yellow option that gives you
Heaven's
minus.
Judgment.
Yeah, Heaven's Judgment. I wasn't sure about the name. Yeah, Quartzmon is like an insane finisher for this deck and really freezes the board for hybrid decks. They could maybe play like one Tamer that's not frozen, but then in your turn when attacking you suspend it as well. So it's really hard to out it for them. I used to play 2. I used to play 3 Digimon Emperors as well before the ban list. Because this deck really uses well the slowed down game. Because you get so many advantages like that they are per turn. So slowing down the game is good. And it can use Digimon Emperor against Imperialdramon, which is something that no other deck can do. Because the thing is, Imperialdramon doesn't care about Digimon Emperor, that's why it's so good. It was so good before the ban list, because everyone was playing like 2 to 3 Emperors, and Imperialdramon just evolves the level 4 inbreeding. But against Diaboromon you can do that, because if they promote level 4, and you have EX6 Diaboromon on board, and then they play a rookie with the dual Tamers, you instantly de-digivolve level 4. So either they promote the rookie and lose the memory to Emperor, or they get de-digivolved, so they lose the memory anyways, and they lose pieces. So maybe they don't have another level 4 of the right color. So the Digimon Emperor was so good in this deck, but after the ban list, I want to give a very generic and selfish deck list. This is not a deck list that's meant to really counter the meta, because we don't know yet how it will shape itself. But I think that other than Imperialdramon being the best deck ever, we will see a lot more Takemi Kazuchi. Is that how you pronounce it? Like the Fairy Rugamon?
Yeah, you're close. I think it's actually it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was good. And a lot more Omnimon as well. And both decks get bodied by the BT5 Armageddon, which I didn't play in the beginning, because I preferred the second Quartzmon for the Blue Hybrid matchup.
Mm-hmm.
But post-ban list, I think the Armageddon will do a lot of work for us.
Yeah, and that was a whole lot of insight, and it all makes sense, right? I wouldn't say Blue Hybrid was necessarily nerfed to the ground per se. Like Hammer Spark was a really big hit, and so was the Ugomon, but like to the ground is a bit strong. But
yeah, you're right. But I don't mean that people will stop playing the deck entirely, but it's a lot less of a menace.
Right, and everything else you said, like how you view the Imperialdramon matchup, which I do agree was like arguably the best deck in the format, right? Is this actually sounds really, really good into that deck. Being able to de-digivolve that Imperialdramon, and then like, they're already passing turn and then gaining back the memory using like the XV, the Stingmon, and the Daiken. But if they're getting de-digivolved and they have to reinvest more memory into that, like that's just like kind of like just kicking them while they're down, right?
Yeah.
And then also it's not like Daiken can just strip. Well, actually, couldn't the Davis Kenton, or actually, I guess you evolve into this, right? If you evolve into this one, they can't Daiken you, right? Because then you're getting the de-digivolve off. So not even Daiken can save them. So this is actually like a really strong interaction against Imperialdramon. Okay, I see the vision. Yeah,
no, this deck does insanely well against Imperialdramon. Like, it's the best matchup ever.
Okay. Well, I'm sure everyone is super excited to hear more details about the card choices themselves, right? Because, like, I see you have, like, a lot of 2 of ratio, a lot of 3 of ratios.
It's a very toolboxy deck list. It was more polarized when I brought this to tournaments, because, like, as I told you, I was 3-1 in the regionals, but I dropped to play the 3v3 events because I wanted the Blackboard Greymon like the champion.
Yeah.
So it was like 3-1 in the main event. Then I went to the side event and I got 4-0 with this deck. I've won a couple Evolution Cup, like local tournaments. I've won a private 30 people tournament and some locals. So I think I've experienced a lot of matchups, and I don't want to say the deck list was necessarily perfect because like there were other good Diaboromon players I've spoken with, and we didn't agree on everything. But it was like really good because the other two guys that got results with the deck that I know had very similar deck lists.
Okay. Okay. All right. Do you want to get started on the card choices?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Where are we starting?
From the eggs, I will say, like this Doraemon is very good for this deck because like your main mega is the EX6 Diaboromon, and this gives you 1 memory all turns when another Digimon with blocker is deleted, and this is very relevant. Not only because it's not just on the opponent's turn, but it's on your turn as well. And as I will show you later, we have many ways to destroy our own tokens to gain benefit. And when you do that, you gain 1 memory, so it's like those plays are discounted.
Okay.
It's obviously relevant if the opponent plays a blocker and you manage to destroy it, then you gain memory. And it's relevant against collision because it gives blocker to everything, so you get memory there as well. But really, the main reason I wanted to play 4 off this egg and not play a 5th egg, because for a second I was like, yeah, maybe I could play 1 off of the new egg that gives you 1 memory on deletion if you're unidentified, which can be decent, but this egg helps you play against Crimson Blades, which is the bane of this deck. And maybe blue hybrid players will switch to a blue base with the new nerfs to the deck. Then this deck is insanely good if they have to do that. But in general, these helped you make them pass turn when they blaze you, which is insanely important. Because like if you have 2 body, they pay 4, which is your sweet spot because you want to have an Infermon that threatens Ace, Diaboromon against the Ancient Garuru, and a rookie to protect the Infermon against Ancient Garuru. But the problem is that you can't really progress the board state, because if you play a 3rd body, then they play Crimson Blaze for a free memory, and then they keep turn, then they can Ancient Garuru the Infermon, and it's a problem. But Doraemon helps you against that because they pay 1 more memory all the time. So even with 3 bodies, they can't keep turn unless they have Hammer Spark, which is one of the reasons I used to play Chumon in this deck, the memory blocker.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think the adaptation for the fact that like you want to expand your board more, but you don't want to get punished by Crimson Blaze, so Doraemon enables you to expand the board without getting punished, I think is really good, right? And I do think we'll see a shift towards blue-based blue hybrid, but I think we'll also still see a fair amount of red-based blue hybrid. Sure. Crimson Blaze is still just like a crazy card, right?
Yeah, it's a card that's popular in the format because there's so many special summons nowadays. So Crimson Blaze is very good. Like Quartzmon is good as well.
Yeah.
And everything that prevents specialing. Also, this card is not only good, but it's even better because it induces mistakes by the opponent. People forget about this all the time. And if you forget, it's like the purple curry back in the day. People used to forget it. Swing insecurity and lose turn. This is the same thing.
All right.
Go
on. I was gonna say, do you want to move on to the rookies? But
yeah, I wanted to move on.
Okay, perfect.
To the Searcher Caramon, which is like EX6, I believe. Yeah. This guy, pretty fucking good. Like, there's another Searcher Caramon which I've seen people play. That's from like BT5. It searches 5 instead of 3. That's a pretty good card, but I don't love it because I play a lot of trainings and mem boosts, so it's decently rare for me to slam a rookie to search. And this guy searches 3 but trashes what you don't add, which is relevant for Arata because he is only online when you have an unidentified Digimon in the trash. So it's important that this trashes. And also the Inheritable on deletion is just crazy. Like, the problem with this deck is that it has a lot of on deletion Inheritables, which will be insane if the meta didn't bounce so much. If there was more deletion, which I think will be the case after the ban list. I believe there will be more deletion than there was before, so this will be even better. So this card, good all around, searcher, solid inheritable. When you get to use it, it's very, very good. Then there's the BT17 Caramon. This card is like MVP. This card is insane. I don't know why people run 2 or 3 of this. I would run 5 if I could. I would run 6 if I could. Like, this card auto wins every matchup where your opponent doesn't out level 3s when digivolving. If they have to swing, or if they have to do anything else that's not digivolving, because obviously it's their turn, so they have priority on effects. So if they destroy this while they digivolve, this doesn't activate. But for example, Diaboromon doesn't out this when digivolving, so they have to like climb to Diaboromon in the breeding area unless they have Diaboromon, like Dex Diaboromon, but they only play 2 to 3 because some people play like the old one as well, a little bit of both. And you have 4 of these, and I used to have Chummon, which sometimes they do the same job, like they prevent the opponent from doing what they want. So I had like 7 copies total of a rookie that could stop my opponent, and having 2 of them at the same time is like a complete lock sometimes. So this card helps you like create the locks I talk about, the traps, and having one of these on board is like an insane menace, even if you don't have the Infamon, because they have to respect it. Like, usually, the first game, they don't respect it, they get smacked by it, and then the second game, they over-respect it, and you can bluff so much with this card.
Mm-hmm.
And also, same solid Inheritable that gives you a token on deletion. Then there's the third rookie. As I said, I used to play 3 Chummons. I wanted to play the Quartzmon, I think is the name, the one that prevents warping, but I've noticed that it doesn't really do anything against Blue Hybrid, because I never, like, unless I see it on first turn, it doesn't do what I wanted it to do, because I can never play stuff on play, playing the cost, because I go under Crimson Blaze then. So it didn't work as well as I wanted. Chummon really did a lot more, because it prevents the Ukamons from gaining memory, and that's start of turn, so they can't prevent it in any possible way. And helped as well against Imperialdramon, because it stops the level 4s. But after the ban list, I don't know how the meta will shape. Chummon is really a meta call, so I don't know if I will run it. This Caramon is generally good. It gives you gigantic pluses when you go into Diaboromon X6 with maybe 1 or 2 Aratas on the board, because it's not once per turn. So you draw for each token that you play. So it's maybe the best Inheritable, because like the on deletion one, you don't always get it. This is like more sure. It's like the best one to do in the breeding area. But I want to play one Agumon, because I debated between the two, like playing either Caramon or Agumon for a long time. I've discovered that Caramon is generally better, like most of the times, but Agumon is really good into late game, because it gives you a second egg, basically. So the meaning of this is that if I have a Diaboromon with this underneath, I can block with a token any attack, and they lose 2 memory, because they lose 1 from the Agumon and 1 from the egg. So it's very, very good into late game. Also relevant against raid, against collision, against other blockers, any sort of redirect. So this is very good late.
Yeah, when you said second egg, I thought you meant like a second hatch, and I was like, how does that work? But then like
No, 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 no.
now that you've
That's
explained it, I'm
not
like,
that.
oh, okay, I get it.
That's not Luyo Wada. No, it gives me a second effect that gives me one memory when a token dies, basically.
Yeah, right.
And also, this the start of main can be relevant.
So I actually noticed something, and it didn't occur to me until just now. I noticed you don't run the clock, and I know clock is like very popular among players. Why not the clock? Like why not Diaboro with clock?
Because the clock is like a dream combo that you will never get. Like it's so hard to get 4 clocks on the board. Like usually the argument is that the card is not bad in itself, even if you don't get the alternative win condition. Like just playing free for a token and 1 turn of protection, 1 turn because it's mandatory to detach the clock. Like if it was not mandatory, if you could let the clock under Diaboromon, I would play maybe 2 clocks just because of the protection, and it would be insane. But it's mandatory to detach. So, like, usually you just play free for a token, and maybe the protection is relevant for the turn, but you can only put it under Diaboromon, and I usually want to stay on Infermon until I established advantage. So, like, the card doesn't really do anything for me. Also, forces you, doesn't force you, but makes you want to play the BT17 Diaboromon, I think it is, like the one
Yeah.
that plays 2 tokens when you put the clock underneath, but that's just worse than the other 2 megas. So, like, I will never run clock, honestly.
Yeah, so I know, I think we watched like maybe 20 something games, and I never watched the clock win once. And it took a long time for us to finally get a clock win. So yeah, I agree. It is like a very dream come true sort of scenario. I agree.
Yeah, it doesn't really work. I just don't like the card.
All right, you want
But
to? Mm-hmm.
for the level 4s,
Yeah.
there's a very important card that I used to run at 4. It's the first Kurisarimon,
Okay.
the first one from EX6. I used to run 4 of this. This looks like the weakest Kurisarimon because it's like used to destroy rookies mostly, and you not always want to do that in a normal meta. But before the ban list, there were so many things I wanted to kill on turn 1. There was the Ukamons that generate value if you leave them untouched. There was the Bokomons that do the same. There were the Numemons, like the level 4 cost free on like any Numemon level 4. Honestly, you don't want to leave them on the board because then they can go into Monza X with Protoform and then Valkyrie you. So almost always wanted to kill something on turn 1 in the most popular matchups. It's not the greatest against Imperialdramon, but you always win that matchup, in my opinion. And it's also strong because it gives you a second stack really fast. Because it doesn't just kill stuff of cost 3 or less, but it can destroy an unidentified Digimon, not just a token, because usually you use this with tokens. But it can, for example, destroy another level 4, which had the Inheritable to create a token, which is just on deletion. It doesn't say when you will leave the battle area due to an opponent's effect. So you could really use this in many creative ways to create a second stack. And remember that the egg gives us 1 memory when a token dies. So a pretty common play is to go into EX6 Diablo and play a token, and then this eats the token for a cost of 2, which is 1 really, and then you have established a level 4. Then you can go into a level 5 and threaten Ace, or if you have 2 tokens, you can go into the EX6 level 5 and eat the other token to go instantly into another Diaboromon. So, like, this card has a lot of applications, but they are rarer than the other 2 Kurisarimon that I run at 3 in a normal meta. If the meta goes back to like a lot of rookies that you instantly want to kill. Like for example, they spoiled the new Clockmon, which is like #1 priority, I think. I will go back to 4 for this.
Random side tangent, but I read that Calamon. I don't actually think it's that good, but like
It's
that,
not.
I don't think it is. But that could be a whole other discussion later.
Yeah, that deserves a video of itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, this Quartzmon is like, I want to emphasize that this deck list is like a really selfish and generalistic deck list. This is not like defined on the meta because we don't know the meta yet. So I used to play 4 of this. Now I think I will play 2. Then there's the other 2 Quartzmons that I run at 3. Those are the generally better ones. This one is like the best one to do in breeding area. Gives you 1 memory every time you play a token, and it's not once per turn, which is very important. Like if you have like multiple erratas on the board and you go into either Diaboromon, honestly, you gain a lot of memory back. So this is just good. And when you go like this deck, when it gets ahead of the opponents, it really goes over the top. Like I've had boards with like 2 Magas and 5 tokens and the BT17 Caramon to trap stuff and an Infermon to threaten Ace. Like this goes very over the top with this Quartzmon. And then there's the Rush one. I used to play 2 of this. I ran like 4-4-2 because this one is more of a finisher. Like you want this, but you want this into the second stack that you build. Because Rush doesn't really do anything if you're not going for game. But at the same time, removing Emperor from the deck list, which I don't know yet if it will stay off the deck list or come back in, depending on the meta, I decided to go back to 4 Erratas. I used to run 2 because the card is good. It gives you a lot of grinding potential for the late game. But at the same time, it was very bad into aggro because you never had the chance to play it. So I used to run 2 Erratas and playing more than 2 of these was not good. But now that I went back to 4, running 3 of these just for the Wendage Evolving play Errata for free, it's good again. And then there's the Promo Quartzmon. I used to think this card was very bad because like it's so situational. It doesn't help you push. Like it gives you Decoy for black and white, so basically the whole deck on all tokens. But I used to think this was very situational and not good in a meta that was not full of destruction effects. Like there was so much bouncing and DP minus, which obviously Decoy doesn't help against. Like you can Decoy and try to save the Digimon, but it will just die again. So it's useless. But I've discovered this helps a lot against Crimson Blaze. Because if you have like, let's say you have 10 tokens, for example, just random scenario, you can save 5 of them because they have Decoy and they can decoy each other because they're white. So if you have like 2 bodies that are dying at the same time, one of them can save the other with Decoy. So this really helps against Crimson Blaze, as I said. For example, if I had Diaboromon from EX6 and the BT17 Caramon, with these underneath and the token could save the Caramon, which could then go into Infermon to ruin the play. So 2 of these, pretty good against Crimson Blaze, and will be probably better because I expect more destruction to be in the meta. So 2 of these, maybe you could run 1, because yeah, it's situational, in some matchups it doesn't do anything, but I think 2 is a good number. It's very toolboxy on the level 4s.
Yeah, and then I feel like we covered pretty extensively the 5s earlier, right?
Yeah, they are... I just want to say one important thing. Never run 6 or 7 thinking that it's enough, because you need the Infermon name for the Caramon. So it's like mandatory. It's like I run 14 level 4s. Because obviously the level 4s evolve into Inframon, but also the level 3s. So I need 8 Inframons. Like in early playtesting, I was like, yeah, I could run 7, maybe 6 if I only run 6 Magas. No, you need 8. Those are so important. Both very strong. One, the Digivolves and freezes a level cost or cost 8 or less. And the other one can eat a token both on play and when Digi, which is important because sometimes when they wipe your board but you still have a token, you can play this for 7, eat a token, and instantly go into Diaboromon and Digivolve and play another token, or destroy, or Digivolve and destroy, depending on what Diaboromon you play. So yeah, incredible cards. Round 4 and 4, no doubts. Sadly, we don't have Cyberdramon. I think it's the name,
Yeah,
the level 5 ace. Yeah, that will be good, but we don't have it, so 4 and 4 of this.
Yeah.
Then there's the Magas, obviously. Like, this is the bread and butter of the deck. Creates an infinite wall of tokens that can block, gain new memory when they die, and can be used for the what's the EX6 Quartzmon, the one that eats a token to discount the cost, or the EX6 Inframon, which also eats tokens to Digivolve for free. So you have a lot of uses for the tokens other than just attacking with jamming or blocking. And it de-Digivolves every turn, obviously, because you will always have an Inframon underneath. So it's a very strong value generator, but it's important to not play it too early. Like, if they can out it, don't play it. Threaten the ace and threaten the warp with the other Caramon. So that's one of the main mistakes I've seen players of this deck do. And then there's the other one, the ace. So strong of a card, like insane. I used to play 2, instantly bumped it at 3 because it's so good. It can destroy at least cost 7, always, because it's 3 plus 2 for each token. But you always get at least 1 token when Digivolving. You get 1 more when attacking, so if you can attack, you can destroy cost 9, and it's a you may destroy. So you are not forced to destroy on the first token. You can wait and destroy later. This is very important. And it's all turns, okay? It's so strong against special summoning decks like Imperialdramon, as I said. If they activate Daikan, this instantly pops the rookie. And if you have both Diaboromons, which is not that rare, because, as I said, it's easy to build the second stack. When they play any Digimon, you pop you play a token from the EX6, and then since you did a special summon, sorry if I keep using this term, but
you're good.
Since you special summon the token with the other Diablo, this one pops, so it's like a big lock. It's especially good against Imperialdramon. I can't emphasize it enough. The only bad thing about this guy is that it doesn't have on-play effects. But, you know.
I mean, for 6 cost, that'd be a little too much, right?
Yeah, I think so, because it could destroy 7 costs all the time.
Yeah.
And remember, they can't use Atemon against this guy. Because, like, they usually think if the board is clear, they can just Atemon this guy, but then you attack and play a token, and since it's your turn first, you can pop the Atemon. I've had this happen to me against a 3-0 opponent. 3-0 opponent, sorry.
Yeah.
So then there's the Quartzmon. I've emphasized this card and how good it is against hybrid decks. Like, usually you play this for 1 or 2 when you get it early, and then you play it for 0 when in late game. And it's especially good because not only this deck plays it well, because you have so many bodies on board, but the current meta, I feel like, has a lot of small bodies on board and a lot of Tamers. This was incredibly good into Louis Owada, because the 3-cost white Tamer, it pushes another body on the board, and it's a Tamer on itself. and ends up costing 1 or 2. So it really makes the number of tokens of bodies on the board, including both Digimon and Tamers, generally very high. So this card was so good in the pre-ban meta, but it's generally just good in the deck because it's also unidentified, which can be searched by the rookie. It's unidentified type, not trait, but Bandai has said, yes, you can search this. So you can search it with the Caramon. And it's a good finisher, always trashes at least 1, very often trashes 2, and you can try to trash 3 in some scenarios. And as I said, freezes every tamer that blue hybrid, red hybrid has. They can't do really anything. Like, they can digivolve, but they usually bounce the small bodies. They need a big option for this, which gives you turn back. It's an insane card. I used to run 2, but I think the meta will shift, so I wanted to showcase other level 7s. There's the Armageddon. I've talked about this guy before. I didn't play this because I didn't really have many chances to play it in the most popular matchups. But I think that after the meta shift, as I said earlier, Fenrilugamon Takemi Kazushi, or whatever is the name.
You got it.
And,
you got it.
and Omnimon will be very relevant, and this guy just bodies those decks.
I mean, just having a card that also turns off Ruin mode, I think is also like really significant, right?
Yeah, but that was my reasoning in the beginning, but it's not that easy because you don't know if they are gonna have Ruin mode in hand and play it, and then they have to have a level 6 on the board, and maybe not everyone runs it in both Numemon and the Rugoromon. Yes, usually you run 1, but you don't know for sure. You don't know if they will have the Maga to play it, if they will see it. Like, it's a more unpredictable card. Against Fenrilugamon and against Omnimon, not only the games usually give you more time to set up, so you usually find this, but if you play this, it's like an instant win. Like, it's so hard to out it for those decks.
Yeah.
While the Ruin mode decks can out it. So it wasn't that good before, but now I think it is.
Fair enough.
And then I really cooked for the third level 7. This card is insane in this deck. Like, if you get to late game, I ended up not running it for the events because, as I said, once again, the meta was really fast. So this is a very a card to go over the top. But if you have the Diaboromon on board and you play this guy, the Omnimon Zwart, you trash 3 cards, which is good in itself. And then you can res up to 3 bodies that cost, I believe it's 8 or less.
Do you mean 2 bodies?
Yeah, sorry, 2. Yeah, I'm sorry. You trash 3 and res 2. I'm sorry. But yeah, you res 2 bodies and you have so many good targets for this. Like, for example, the best case scenario is that you res 2 EX6 Infamons, and then they eat 2 tokens, and then you get 2 Diaboromons. They both digivolve, they both spawn tokens, and they if they are Diaboromon Ace, they destroy stuff. If they are the EX6 Diaboromon, you get blockers. Like, this is the best case scenario. But even just playing an Infamon to threaten the Ace that you have in hand is good. Or you can play Diaboromon Ace directly, and you get the destruction because it sees the other Digimon being special summoned. So if you play 2, because this guy costs 6, so you can res him, and it sees the other one. So if you play 2 of these, you pop 2 bodies instantly. And it's at least 7 cost or less. And you can res as well the BT17 Caramon to establish a trap. You can res the EX6 Kurizarimon to destroy small bodies. Like, for 6 cost, you can get so much stuff. You get a 15,000 DP body, and the next turn when you attack, you can also destroy a body. Like, the card obviously is not strong in itself. It's usually a downgrade from the Diaboromon you evolved onto, but you get so much other stuff. Like I played a matchup against a friend in like an Evolution Cup, and he was running Red Hybrid. I had EX6. I think I had EX6 Diaboromon, and I went into this guy. I just play. It was like not even best case scenario because it was like turn 3, turn 4, and I just played the trap Caramon and an Infamon, and it was like, yeah, if I swing, you go into Diablo Ace. If I evolve, you go into this. I concede because he knew I had the cards. So because I searched with trainings, man
Right.
boosts. So this card is very underrated, but it's only good in a grindy meta. Like it's not good in a fast meta. So I wanted to showcase this. I don't know if I will end up running it because, as I said, it all depends. But the card is good.
All right.
Then we have the Tamer, obviously, Arata, strong card. If the game goes late, this has insane value. Doesn't really do much in fast games, but if the game goes late, like not necessarily late, but if the game doesn't end or is decided in 3 turns, okay, then this card is good.
Yeah.
Obviously, maxing it helps you find it in security as well. So yeah, running 4 is decent. And then I play 4 trainings, which is like standard for any level 6 deck. I feel like this card is obviously very good. It's like the best turn 1 you can hope for. And I wanted to run 5 of searcher options, so I ended up playing 1 man boost.
Yeah, and then I noticed the Parabolic Junk, which I know like oftentimes you place this on the token, so when the token dies, you gain 2 memory, and this works on both players' turns.
Yes.
Do you ever consider turning this into a second mem boost?
Not really. Not
Okay.
really. This card, like, I considered playing 2 of these actually. This is like just pre Gravity Crush because it's not a rare play to eat a token. Like in the game, during the whole game, you will do it at least once, and then this is just like free Gravity Crush.
Yeah.
It's literally just 2 memory for you. So I can, for example, play the EX6 Infamon to eat a token, which has these, and then the egg. So I play for 4 memory a whole ass Diaboromon.
Yeah.
And also, this is good when you want to establish lethal for the next turn. You just play this on your whatever is your most important card, and it's really hard for them to like try to set your lethal off. Sometimes I just do it for protection, and it helps you against Crimson Blaze once again. Because if there's a turn where you feel like they can Crimson Blaze you, you play this, they pay 2 more memory, which is free if you have the egg. And then it's really hard for them to get actual value and not just skipping a turn.
Right, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
The card is insane. I will never run less than 1, depending on scenarios and math and stuff. I would run 2, but never less than 1. It's so good.
Okay, well, first and foremost, thank you so much for the deck profile.
You're welcome, man.
Having heard you talk about this deck, it does sound really strong, actually, into the upcoming format, right? And if what you're saying is true, like the matchup spread does pan out that way, I can definitely see Diaboromon doing some serious damage to the format, especially with such a good Imperialdramon matchup. Do you have any closing statements towards the deck?
Yeah, I think the deck could have been even better if we had Cyberdramon. I'm so sad we don't have the guy, but at the same time, I know I brick less, having more Infamons, so it's fine. I hope this deck will be good, because I feel like I don't want to say discovered like I'm the only one, but it's like a deck that almost no one was considering, and they found to be really strong. I found it to be the only real answer to Imperialdramon. Good Numamon matchup, as I said. The matchup against Blue Hybrid is not as bad, and has very solid matchup against most 1.5 tier decks. So I hope it will be even better, and I think it will, because I don't really see why you wouldn't play Imperialdramon in the new format. And I expect more Fenrilugamon and Omnimon, which are both good matchups. Actually, people think that Omnimon counters this deck because thematically it should, because it bounces all level 6s, but you have so many answers to that stuff, not counting even just the Armageddon, that it's actually good. So I have good hopes for this deck.
Yeah. And my final question for you, and I'm just thinking
Mm-hmm.
about it. So, going forward with the blue hybrid matchup, especially, right? Because that's like arguably going to be the other most popular deck alongside Imperialdramon. What do you say is like your best case scenario game plan versus them?
Best case scenario, yeah. As I said, you want to have um, level 5 and another rookie. It doesn't really matter which rookie,
Mm-hmm.
because it's just there to protect you against the Ansem Garurumon. And then you build in the back, in the breeding area, once you promoted,
Mm-hmm.
a Rush Kurizarimon. And then you promote all in one turn and destroy everything. Like you go for game from there. Because
Mm-hmm.
until that point, if you can keep an Infamon which threatens Diaboromon Ace and a rookie to protect it, you're fine. You just have to play around Crimson Blaze into Anston Garuru. So you want them to pay as much as possible for Crimson Blaze.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole point. Then obviously if you see the Quartzmon, it's 10 times easier. Like it
Yeah.
actually becomes pretty good as a matchup. And if you see the promo Kurizarimon, it's even easier because you almost turn off the Crimson Blaze, combining all the things I've said. If you see the promo one.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good. And again, thank you so much for coming on the channel and doing this dark
Thanks to you,
profile.
man.
Yeah, of course. And thank you to everyone that's watching this video. We really do appreciate it, and I hope you look forward to more content on the Huang Zero channel. All right.
I just want to say I have to thank two people
Oh yeah, go for it, man.
for this stuff, because I think I will be killed if I don't. I want to say thank you to my friend Bruno Trapassi, which is a very good Italian player who helped me test this deck so much, even if it was not coming to the tournament. So props to him, because I wouldn't have been able to play this as well as I did if it wasn't for him. And thanks to Andrea Barbenzi, who borrowed me the deck because I don't own it.
All right, and again, thank you so much for coming on the channel, and please check out the rest of our content and look forward to what else we have. Thank you.
Subscribe.